The Cemetery Committee is conducting this meeting February 7th, 2024 at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Zoom platform and in person, and in accordance with the town's policy, directive, and guidelines issued on April 1st, 2020, and amended on May 7th, 2022. If you are recognized, please state your name and address. This meeting is being recorded. I, Rod Rydell, hereby call this meeting to order. All committee votes will be taken via roll call. We will start with an attendance roll call of committee members. When I announce your name, please reply. Brian Davidson. Here. Jerry Susi. Not here today. Jeff Walton.
Here.
Priscilla White Sturgis.
Here.
Rod Rydell. Here. Okay. So we have 4 of the 5, so we have a quorum, so we're all set. Okay. Okay, the deed signing has been completed. We had 7 deeds, 6. Okay. The next proposed date for our March Cemetery Committee meeting is March 6th. Is that acceptable to everyone? Yeah. And and thank you, Justine, for circulating the minutes from our December 6th committee meeting. I'm opening it up for discussion. If there's any amendments or questions or changes to suggest to the meeting minutes in December. Okay. Okay, in the absence of any suggested changes, may I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move. Sorry.
Okay, second?
I'll say.
Okay. Brian Davidson? Jeff?
Yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Rod? Yes. Okay, so the minutes have been approved unanimously. Okay, we'll move to the discussion and possible action items on our agenda. We'll start with the CPW staff report.
Good evening. I am McCloskell, Highway and Ground Superintendent. So the last month, pretty busy for the cemetery team. So we had, as far as burial information, lot sales, 3 soul interments that took place in Sleepy Hollow, and 9 single grave lots were sold. We have some winter weather events. January 6th snowstorm. We had a lot of snow and some trees and a lot of cleanup as a result. So very busy following that event. We did work with, we met with HSI, which is an engineering firm, and our engineering team within Public Works to review lots and layouts. So we'll be working with them on a lot expansion and a plan for that over the next few months. The north section of Sleepy Hollow, and we'll bring keep the committee updated as we get proposals from them and bring them to people for review and discussion as well. But follow up to last month's discussion on long-term planning, and I think the previous meeting as well, and just looking at lots and numbers. So we're moving forward with that pretty quickly. We did have some conversations internally with the director and town engineer, and we're able to move pretty quickly with that third-party firm to come in and work with us on the project. So we are currently working on updating the invitation for bids for the landscaping contract that expired at the end of last calendar year. So we're working on some bid specifications, and we'll be sending that to the procurement department for review before we put that out for advertising for bidding, and get a new contractor or a contractor on board for the spring. We are, the stone wall contract is with the procurement department for final review for execution. That's been signed by the engineering firm Wright Pierce. Procurement will review it and send it to the town manager's office for execution. And once that's finalized, we can start starting the design for the stone wall restoration project. Sleepy Hollow. Grants updates, it's kind of a part of the annual calendar that was updated for February. So where we're at for right now, since it's February, kind of just reviewed that stone wall one. The other item that we're kind of qualified as a grant, the CPC application for the metal fence and metal infrastructure assessment is with the CPC and going through that process. It's their town meeting. Headstone restoration, we talked about an update that was included in the packet. The contractor that we use, Historic Gravestones, will be back in the springtime to continue the work. The original contract had 32 stones associated with it. 27 have been completed, and so we'll continue with the remaining of that list in the springtime, and then hope to start working on our next list for FY 24. Start final project, end of the spring, early summertime for fall season. And I think that's about it for updates that I have. I don't know if Tish, do you have anything? Okay. Oh, did want to share one thing actually.
Yeah.
So we brought some copies of Public Works tree planting guide. So this is available on the town website for anybody that might be interested in looking at. Questions came up offline about trees and tree planting, so we brought this guide for any cemetery committee members and anybody in the public that would like to get a copy of it. It's available down at the Public Works office, 133 Kais Road. It's available on the town website. Share that. That's all I got.
That's great. Great, thank you. Thank you. Just a couple of follow-up questions. With the stone wall plan, is the plan to start in Sleepy Hollow and not in Old Burying Ground or South Burying Ground?
So the design work will be for all of these stone walls we listed in the preliminary system.
Okay.
As far as construction, when it gets to that phase, I do not have an answer.
Okay. So again, I was approached by an abutter to the Old Burying Ground, Paula Casey, who has a house, a stone house, and she has a stone wall. It's a beautiful stone house right there on Lexington Road. Not quite across the street from First Parish, but it's a nice house. And she said to me, the stone, she had some concerns that there was some instability in the stone wall. And I said, well, it so happens that the cemetery, department is going to be, looking at that. So I just want to raise that. I can send you her contact information. And if someone is going through the design, maybe they want to contact her. It's good to have good relations with the neighbors when this is all going through. So
Absolutely. Yeah, we can forward that along and we can talk to her and feel free to,
yeah, I'll send you a contact information. Okay.
I would also say on that, follow up on as far as timing, the 250th celebration will be happening next spring. And a big focus on downtown Concord Center. So if we're ready or in construction at that point, I think that'll play a factor in the locations and what we're doing.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
to minimize disturbance to certain areas of town. Probably get a lot of visitors. Sleepy Hollow will, I'm sure, get plenty of additional visitors as well, but we might focus, as we said, a different direction.
Sure. There's plenty of stone walls in the more modern section to Sleepy Hollow Cemetery too. So great. Great. Any other questions or comments concerning the operations and the update? No.
Well, actually, just one clarification, Aaron, on the the work being done with the engineers. They're gonna project the availability based on current utilization? Or are they just laying out plots?
They are laying out plots.
So we have to do the projections.
As far as, so you,
Things like the 60-year projection.
yes, so that's something that we would do, I think, in-house, the staff would do. Look at projections, Tish is gonna be reaching out. We're gonna be looking at getting some survey data as far as other cemeteries, the fees, availability, things like that, in preparation to present to the committee to give some feedback. I think when we look at availability and projecting numbers, we look at historical data. We have all of that, keep all the data for, every month, the updates that I get to this group. We have pretty detailed, very detailed records going years and years back of how many lots we sell, every month and every year. And so we'll be able to make a projection and look at what we need. The focus that HSI is going to be doing is looking at layouts, doing survey work, identifying, layouts, roads, pathways, how many lots we can, lay out in different sections, different types of lots, things like that. So we'll be working closely with them and provide an update to the group as we progress in that project.
And again, sorry, Aaron, just one more follow-up. Will it include like an allocation of land for the future columbarium? Was there some estimate as to how many niches the columbarium?
So we were asking HSI to look at in a, as far as the layout goes, identify the area for the columbarium, but they're at this, for the proposal we requested from them does not include a detailed design of the columbarium at this time.
Okay.
The focus is on lots and the layouts. So, single grave, lots, for full interments, cremation lots, expanded on the existing Jewish section. It's kind of have a limited area. Looking at installing roadways, paths, irrigation lines, and trees.
Irrigation line?
Yeah. Water lines for spigots.
Yeah.
Oh, just water spigots, okay. That's irrigation. Please fill my heart.
So, so all that infrastructure is what's included in the lot layout. And then I would assume that we would continue to work with them and the subcommittee on, continued, columbarium design as well, kind of in parallel.
Well, it's probably, I mean, it's not as if you're gonna get 10 times more, individuals in the space of a lot of the columbarium. And some, I'm sure there's some kind of a standard, a columbarium that's this high is the equivalent, for this area of one grave lot. You can have 4 or whatever the number is, and so somebody can work that out. Okay.
We did do a site walk with our staff, our engineering group and HSI and showed them the area that we've identified for the columbarium. And so, on the plan, this general area will be identified for columbarium.
Yeah, perfect. That's great. Okay, great. Thanks. Next item on the agenda is a discussion of the master plan. So, first thing is, thank you to everybody who sent in their written edits to section 1 and 2 of the master plan. That's Brian and Jerry and Jeff. Now today we're going to talk about section 3, and we'll ask again those who were assigned to give their feedback to send that in writing to Justine, and I will put them into the working version. I'm hoping by our April meeting, we'll have the final section, first round of edits suggested, and I'll incorporate them all so that by the end of April, we actually have all of the edits compiled into one document. And I'm going to do something more than that as well. I'm going to give you a color-coded version with everyone's individual, and then I'm going to just take a first shot at pulling it all together and suggesting which edits should be incorporated, which ones should not, as a way of getting people to think about, what trade-offs, what compromises need to be made. But I'll take that first shot. So the idea is we'll do section 3 today. We'll do section 4 next month, and then section 6, which is going to be the new section 5, because section 5, the Melbourne Memorial, we've completed that, and so we don't need to have that in the master plan. Okay, so that's the first thing. Before we start with our discussion of section 3 edits, I just wanted to ask if anyone had any recommendations to me about incorporating, or does anybody find the way that I'm trying to track the edits to be, is it acceptable? Is it clear enough? I'm sure it's not clear, but is it clear enough that you can track like who said what's going on? Okay.
That was very helpful. Thank you, Rod.
Great. Okay. And that's what we'll continue to do, and we'll build up on that. So by at the end of April, you'll have a completely like a rainbow colored document, and you'll also have a first draft of a revised document in which I will take the first stab at incorporating edits. And when there is disagreement among the suggested edits, I'll make a decision and then we can all have a, a fair go at it, okay? But that's just one way to move it along, okay? So that's the first thing. So let's talk about section 3. Priscilla, can I have you take the lead?
Would you like to start?
I don't think I was assigned.
Oh,
to
you
this.
weren't?
No.
Yeah, but finally, somebody will be happy not to hear from
I
me.
thought you were. Section 3.
Section 3 is Brian and
Oh.
Priscilla.
Oh, no, is it? Okay, all right.
Okay.
Sorry, Priscilla.
So I guess I have to go.
You do.
Okay, well. My plan failed me. I was just gonna agree with it.
Uh-oh.
Well, the first section of signage and maps, I mean, that's sort of my thing, I guess. So, I don't really have rewrites, but I have suggestions about things that we can improve on, maybe.
Well, we could rewrite that into a goal. If you have a suggestion, we'll find a way to
Right.
rewrite it into a goal.
Right.
Okay, so
So-
what would those things be?
So, I think that the 5 signs that we have, the green signs that we have at the entrances are, good as is. We rely on those. They're the map signs are, we only have 2 of those, right? Those are for their wayfinding. I mean, they're for direction. We have those. One thing that I was wondering about is QR codes. And if we should consider those, even if they're temporary for for Concord 250.
Okay, so we're talking about these things that you shine your cell phone at and it pops up a link.
This is a QR
Right,
code.
right, and you get a link to a map or something like that.
Correct. This goes right to the cemetery website and talks about all these 46, 44, sort of highlighted graves throughout the cemetery
So,
that have been
and
identified.
so right now, we don't have any permanent signage in the cemetery with that QR code.
Well, is this on the, in the thing? Yes. So we do have this. Just, I mean, I know everybody knows what it is, but this sign that has the map, so that it's not on this, what I have a photo of, but it's been added to it. So, so it is there, but I just am wondering if somebody missed one of those 2 signs and was standing at one of these grave sites, could there be a QR code there?
So, are you proposing a permanent sign at each of those sites, or is it something that you would do, for example, with, like what we see the signs, when people are, vote, that sort of thing that you stick in and it's going to be there for a couple of months. It would have a QR code and you just stick a QR code by each of
Temporary.
these temporarily for next year. Is
So
that what you had in
I
mind?
guess, I don't know, if the idea of having QR codes all over the cemetery sort of makes people skin crawl, actually kind of does for me.
Okay.
That maybe they could be temporary for this short period of time where we're gonna have such an influx. However, I think it can be done, it could be explored and researched to find a way to do it that's more appealing and small. Doesn't need to be any bigger than something like that. But how is it physically done? So that people see it and it's effective. And is okay with the elements and everything else.
Sure.
There'd have to be a subcommittee that is put together to look into it and figure it out.
So as a goal, you'd say you want to have, a committee should form a subcommittee to evaluate greater distribution of QR codes to give access to this map.
It actually might be a separate section.
Okay, you don't want to put it as part of the map?
I mean, it could
Well,
be,
you will, why don't you, I mean, this is your suggestion, so
right,
edit it, send it to me, I'll put it into the,
and we'll figure it
yeah,
out.
we'll figure it out.
The other thing too is, I don't know whether this is the right time or place, but that might be something that the Friends of Sleepy Hollow might be interested in working on in conjunction with this committee.
And is there a QR code for each of the green signs? The entrance signs? And could you just remind me where the two map signs are located?
One is right as you come in the very first gate, across
Right.
from these, come in the gate, take a right, and you see the map there, and then you see our regulation sign after it. The other one is near the Melvin, so if you walked
It's-
past the Melvin,
It's near the flagpole.
yeah,
Near
so
the
it's near
flagpole.
the triangle with the flagpoles across the street.
But there, it's not like at the entrance, for example, of all the gates. There's not a, there's not
The
some,
majority of the people that come looking for author's rights come in the first or second gates.
Yeah.
Right.
So they do
so again.
capture the tourists that are looking for those
Right.
things, yes, they
Okay.
do.
Right.
That's why those two spots were chosen.
Yeah, I would say that I think if we're gonna look at expanding, additional signage, whether it's maps and QR codes and some rules and regs, even if whether it's permanent or on a temporary basis, focus on like the entrance points. We have maybe a less of a visual impact, on the character of the cemetery. But it makes sense to like you're capturing,
Yeah,
the
so-
four main entrances that are non, they're vehicle and pedestrian, 4 gates, capture those, and just kind of like what I would recommend. Maybe one on near the 9th hole where we have people walking in from the trail, the majority of people. And that way you're capturing the people that are coming and visiting, that's an opportunity to kind of, snap it. The other one by the Melvin where there's already kind of one, it's kind of like a gathering point or a focal point, an attraction within the cemetery. But it doesn't have this impact, less of a chance to maybe, if you're gonna send anybody or by putting something that, that is a new structure in an area that didn't have any structures previously, like a signpost, that might be something.
So given that, I'm wondering if this could possibly be reworked a little bit to have this a little better placed. But also, my issue with this is that you can't read these streets. You can't read it.
I have a question. So who originally created that map, that version? Is that done in-house?
It says prepared by engineering division.
So we've been working, so I've been participating in the 250th Public Safety Subcommittee in
Mhm.
preparation for the event of the town, and we're focusing on public safety, which includes public safety.
Yep.
And all the different initiatives, and we've been working closely we have a very skilled GIS department in town.
Mhm.
They've been putting together a ton of maps for us. I might recommend if you're looking at, if this committee looks into updating the map ahead of the 250th, we can work with the GIS folks to come up with some type of a map. And that might be something where if we get a direction from the committee as staff, we can work with them on an updated map.
So that would be, I'll write this into this, but that would be as opposed to this QR code thing. which
Okay.
Well, I think the QR code is a great idea because a lot of people, if you have a QR code posted somewhere, and whether it's, we can work with the sign company to get it put on like a metal plaque even or something that's, designed to be exposed to the elements or a yard sign and have it be available so that people can snap it on their phone rather than having pieces of paper, because, you know,
But I think that if this were reworked just slightly, so that this could be bigger and here so that people would see it, it would probably do the job, because the minute you go to this, it brings you. The only other question I have, however, is what is cell service like in the cemetery? Is it terrible?
No.
So that's, I think,
That's why
A
everybody's gonna be
solution.
in, that's why everyone's gonna be in the cemetery.
is to have this more prominent, this just needs to be laid out just slightly differently. Which is something that I could do a mock-up sort of, and then give it to the GIS people and say, could you just reproduce this way? But also, there has to be a better way to read I don't know whether on this, it's the exact same thing. You can't read.
that's why I suggest we have the technologies improved since that time that was actually put together.
Mhm.
So we could put a, you know, a more detailed.
Yeah, yep.
visually detailed
Yep.
map together.
With a bigger, I like QR codes really tiny, because I don't like the look of them, but in this particular case, I think it needs to be prominent so that people see it sitting here and they go, oh, and I'm not sure it would need to be anywhere else. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay, well, what we have is a suggestion that maybe we have something like this, even if it's on a temporary basis, at each of the gates into Sleepy Hollow. If we're gonna put additional ones, but certainly update, I think what I've heard you say is you want to update the current two signs.
This one,
Yeah, so that we
the
have.
map that's
so
in
it's-
this,
yeah. Yep.
it's only in 2 locations,
Yeah.
but to have this particular map updated, because see, this one.
But the sign also, if it's strictly for the 250th, the sign that could be at the gates wouldn't have to have the whole map. It would be
Just the QR code.
Just the QR code, scan this for a map of Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, something like that. And
Well, one thing I'd ask,
Yeah.
do you want to go right to a map or do you want to go to a website? Because, now we have this whole system where you can look up people's,
Yeah.
loved one's name.
That's what this goes to, right?
Yeah. Does that go to the map or does that go to the
No, I
website?
think it goes to,
Can I see?
Let's see.
I don't know if my phone was here. I mean, can I see that?
Yeah.
I think it's something. That needs to incorporate. You filled it.
I think it goes, I'm pretty sure it goes to the website that has the individual photo.
That goes to this page.
Yeah, it's not the database for finding any grave at the
It's
cemetery.
the-
It's-
Right.
it's
showing you
basically,
where-
It's the digital map. So it is it's not the actual paper map. This one, if you zoom in close enough,
You can see where the famous people.
it does do that.
It shows the photos of each of these.
I don't know what does that.
Yep,
It shows the
because,
first one.
no, if you go
Right.
through it,
Does it show all of them?
if you, because I just did it.
Jill-
If you go through it, scroll through it,
Oh, Jill did,
it's
yeah, Jill did it.
44 photos of,
Yeah, it does. It's a nice.
okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna take the prerogative,
Right.
just keep moving things along here, so we've got that.
So, the other thing, let's see. I think that that's basically everything for signage and maps.
Okay. Any other
What?
thing?
Oh, yes. So the 2 other cemeteries, Old Hill and South, Old South, is that what it's
Southbury, yeah.
called? South Beringer. It has no signage. However, it is that, there are signs for both of those cemeteries in production. So again, I don't know how
not in production.
Well, they kind of are.
So we've asked Crosby Designs for a mock-up, so they provide us with a mock-up. We haven't,
Okay. But
That's what HDC.
yeah, so we need approval from HTC in order to put signs down.
Yep.
In those two cemeteries.
I guess there's different definitions of production.
Oh, okay.
If I see a green sign sitting in his shop, that means that it's in production.
That's the third one for the two that exist. We
Oh,
just saw
is
that.
it?
That's what that is. That's when he made three, because he said when he does, we just had to go there to pick up other signs.
Oh, that's so funny
we were
because
just
that's
there
why I
last
was
week.
asking you about the size.
That's the third one of what's existing.
So the ones
And he
that,
said when he does stuff like that, he sometimes just makes three,
Yes.
so when he's putting them together, if he screws one up, he has a
Yeah,
spare.
yeah.
So he has never used that one, it's still leaning.
Gotcha.
He just showed it to us the other day.
so the two that are going to be made are going to be smaller than that one, correct? Good. Okay. Oh, yeah. Good.
So this is the mock-up. I'll move to go to historic district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commission in order.
See, I consider that being in production. I mean, you're really moving along on that. It's good. It's not in fabrication.
No, correct.
It's in production.
Kind of feels
Um,
like baseball.
So that's good. I don't know whether that needs to be put in here.
Well, that could be, we could add that to the current status. You could say that signs are currently being prepared for Old Burying Hill, Old Hill Burying Ground and the South Burying. I mean, that's revised status.
What about, do we ever, the one cemetery we don't often talk about is off on Fairhaven Road, the tuberculosis, PB one. Oh, is there a sign on that at all? And like,
Smallpox,
the smallpox thing, smallpox one.
no,
What's it called?
It's the smallpox cemetery off of Fairhaven Road. It's near the Potter House, and there's probably only about 14 or so people kind of buried there. And I mean, if we're doing signs, is there any thought about putting like a signage there? You know, we
there's
kind of,
actually 3 smallpox cemeteries in town. We only own, well, I guess we own the one in the woods too, but there's one we don't have any ownership.
you
We
don't,
couldn't do anything
so
there.
you can't do anything.
It's not ours, it's the homeowner.
Right,
wanted to.
right, property.
Yeah, it's in somebody's backyard.
I thought that, oh, the one on Fairhaven Road?
No.
No,
there's
yeah,
two-
the
there's
other
two
one,
others.
yeah,
That
yeah, I
one's
guess
in
I'm
the
just
right of
talking
way.
about the Fairhaven Road one, because that's kind of, I think now Concord property, right? Or kind of
It's in the
Concord
right of way.
domain, the right of way.
Yeah, it's considered part of the right of way. It's not a parcel.
Is there any thought about, you know, if we're doing signs? Doesn't, I don't know if it has to be as elaborate as what you just showed, but like, you know, something that kind of highlights that one.
I'm just gonna recommend that we table that, Brian, because I'm not sure about all the ramifications of having people visit and somebody gets hurt. I mean, it's one thing, I'm sure that the 3 cemeteries are covered, you know, with the liability and everything else, and I don't know. Because they're not designated as cemeteries per se, right? We go,
They're not maintained in the same fashion.
yeah,
Not maintained at a level where we expect visitors to go regularly.
It's nowhere.
Not regularly monitored.
yeah, so it's a sort of thing.
We do.
It's certainly something we should, you know, could consider as a committee in the future, but in terms of putting it into the master plan right now, I think this would be something we would be better off holding off on. Okay.
The only other thing with signage and maps, the last sentence of the current status, where it says there are no signs indicating where handicap accessibility is a problem. There's not really anything we can do to change that. So,
Well, when you submit your edits, if you want to delete it, delete it. That's perfectly fine.
yeah,
That's perfectly fine.
okay.
Okay.
All right, just for the sake of moving on. Roads and sidewalks. So I've been told by Tish that I didn't really understand this, but I do, I get it now. that there are 3 phases to this. That, phase 1 and phase 2 are just about done.
So,
And that, phase 3 will be starting.
no, it's not even scheduled. Those roads weren't in this bad condition. So phase 3 was like laid out, I guess you could say, when the engineering department split it all up, like. I don't know,
So it's
7
not
years ago.
starting, but it
It exists.
phase
It
3 exists.
As a section.
Okay,
So we could say. phase
still
1 and 2
needs completion.
Yeah, but those roads were not in bad shape.
Okay.
So it wasn't something, the other roads, phases 1 and 2 were really bad.
Well, maybe the
Go
thing
back
to
and
do is
see
say
the
initiation of phase 3 is
Yeah.
pending. Just-
Yeah.
Just leave it at that.
That's good. Okay. 3.3,
One comment. You might want to just keep in mind, maybe add some notes in there that, pending the new expansion, at the knoll. That's gonna include installation of new roads. Pathways. So you might want to look at that and have that be a consideration, the fact that we're gonna want to capture. Definitely implementing some recommendations that come out of that.
Okay.
so 3.3 landscaping, I propose leaving it. No changes
Okay,
from me.
okay.
The 3.4, rock walls. That's being worked on. That was part of the report today.
We need to update that to reflect that we've gotten the CPC grant, for the first half of all of the work that needs to be done. So what will be pending will be getting money for, complete this portion for which we've received money and obtain the remaining monies to complete all of the stone wall and stone structure, repairs and restoration. We could lift language right out of the grant proposal. Just put it right in here.
So 3.5, it's basically the same as 3.4. But it's been,
Right, in here, it's a little bit different because we hadn't had the funding to do the initial engineering assessment. So we got CPC, we're hoping to receive CPC money.
this is a different grant.
Yeah, different grant. It's
Yeah.
the one that the department applied to this past summer. Smaller amount of money, but nevertheless important because it gives us the opportunity to get a third party in and do the assessment. And then once you have the assessment, then you can come back in and figure out how much you need to ask to get all these structures repaired.
Um, 3.6, again, just leave it as it is.
Mhm.
3.7. What did we say about that? There's a place. Oh, it was the flagpole. That's a temporary, the spigot that was added is temporary. But if the road gets dug up in that area, then the spigot can be put in there. Yeah, Part of phase 3.
Yep, yes.
Yeah, it's a seasonal. Yeah.
Yeah.
We pull one closer, that goes in the plan. We're gonna take that road up anyway.
Yep.
Those figures are, okay.
The spigot in the center where the flagpole is of the knoll, is that what you're
No,
talking
the
about?
spigot's over by the Melvin Memorial.
Oh, okay.
so it's temporary.
Okay,
Yeah, to service that area.
Oh, to
What
service,
the request was to put a spigot in there. The only way to get one in there is for us to excavate.
Big road.
okay, so,
Right.
yeah, so that's Sleepy Hollow, not, yeah, okay.
So.
Well, you might want to state that in the, as a goal,
Yeah,
okay,
I will,
great.
and then 3.8, I'm just saying, just leave it as it
Okay.
is.
I would also just comment if I could on the 3.7, part of the HSI lot layout that we're gonna be doing is gonna include
Oh, it's gonna need water.
expansion of the water infrastructure. So you would want to capture those
Yeah.
recommendations, that plan and not in a master plan. There's also gonna be some drainage system improvements that are captured as well. Because they're gonna be installing a lot of impervious new surface in the cemetery, with the asphalt roadways. So there's gonna be drainage improvements that are coming. That'll be included in that layout plan to capture those as well. And then I would also just note, just from an operations standpoint, we can capture. Now, there are some drainage improvements that need to happen, in Sleepy Hollow. We captured those. We need to kind of prioritize those and move those forward.
Do you
The
have
fines.
any document that, you can, send to us so we can put in like general locations, like, or?
Yeah, the pines, and that would help.
From the pines to the backhoe.
From the pines to the 9 poles area. Some erosion issues as a result, once we get some drainage. That's our plan.
Is that the cap pond, open and drain above cap pond?
No,
No.
it's not captured in this at all, but it's from, let me see. Getting water that's coming from here. It's coming down through these woods, and we're having washouts down here
Mhm.
in this area from it. Yeah, this is the pines and this is the 9 pole.
Mhm.
Just from an updating perspective, 3.3, it does talk about extending into cap pond or, open-end drains above cap pond. Do we keep that in there or is that?
Or move it to the.
So
drainage?
this
Yeah,
is
that's
where,
what
when
I-
we were talking, about this, wasn't this the section where you were saying it's not really your,
That was the trimming. There's something in here about trimming along the pathway in the woods. There was some and that's not us, that's natural
the
resources. that
stump
does that.
removal? Is that? Yeah, I think that this is the section where you said this isn't the stuff that we do.
That's the trimming on the pathway through from Chestnut Hollow going out. We don't do any of that.
Right,
The woodland
needs to
trail
be
beyond
cut
Chestnut
back.
Hollow we don't, that's all natural resources.
Right.
Yeah, and they do it.
Do you think that should be taken out of this?
Yeah, I would say that's more probably than a maintenance item that we could. If we want to take it out, we can just capture that separately and follow it. It's not
They do it. They go, maybe more so now than when this was happening.
That's what I see. Just leave it the way it is.
Well, I mean, again, is it a recommendation? Or is it the status of the, of that trail? So if the trail is overgrown, then the trail is overgrown. That's the status.
Right,
If the trail needs to be cut back, that's a goal. Right? Somebody's got to do it. Now, it may not be the cemetery.
It's been opened
Yeah.
up.
No,
There was meetings.
it
Couple
looks
couple years
fine to
back,
me. I've
we had
been
the-
on it recently.
We had the log, we kept getting moved back and
Yeah,
forth.
with the sign on it.
Yes, so I think that's been.
Yeah. I think it's pretty well
Taken care
maintained
of,
right
yeah.
at this point. Maybe when this was written, it needed work. That's probably what it is, but
Yeah.
it's been cut back. They go out there pretty regularly. I see their little truck down there all the time.
Okay. Anything else, Aaron? I'm sorry. No, I think you.
Well, just a question, that drainage at the cap pond be removed or should it be moved? to
No, so I'll tell you what
3.3?
that is.
Well, you're an editor. Are you
No,
gonna
that's
suggest
right.
that we move it?
Well, well,
It's all part of that same, it's part of phase 3 and it's this roadway getting paved. And right now, there's an above ground drain that goes here, that connects to a trench that goes
Yeah.
here. That I would love to see filled in and put a pipe in it. Right here, the pipe actually starts and it goes down to here. It goes under that path and it stops right there. And there was some thought that it would be nice to continue that pipe so that the water didn't flow above ground and that it just went right into Cat's Pond right there.
Gotcha.
So the people didn't see it. we could fill that area in and just put a pipe and fill this in. That again would go to natural resources because it's
Yeah.
legit right next to the pond.
And-
Um,
and that
but
was-
that's what that was for, was filling in down there.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a comment.
Okay, great. Great.
All right.
Sorry, I wrote on your map. I'll
Oh.
give you another one if you need it.
It's useless. You can't read it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We're gonna work on that.
All set.
I'm all set.
Thank you, Priscilla. Jeff, you have any comments to add?
This wasn't my section. It's Brian's section.
Okay, Brian?
Yeah, Brian.
I think Priscilla captured all my comments. in one-
Oh, look at that. Great minds.
Oh. That's great. I've been looking to highlight some things in red, so this is.
I was looking forward to using the line, what he said.
All right, then
Wow,
let's,
I got nabbed.
let's close this section D2 and move on in our agenda. That's all right with everyone? Okay. Next item is D3, the chair comments. So there are a couple of topics I did want to bring up. The first is terms of committee members. On the website, I think there's an error that it says that my term ends in 2025, but it actually ends this year. It ends in April 2024. And Jeff, it says that your term ends in 2024, but I believe your term ends in 2025.
I think so, but I think I was filling in somebody else's term originally. I don't really remember how that worked.
Okay, so we should sort that out, Jeff, because there's got to be a transition of, I mean, you've been groomed to become the chairperson next year because of your, having the vice chair, and we need a vice chair to move in as well.
Right.
Thank you, Priscilla.
Oh.
And no, but we've had this very nice system where people come in, spend a year getting their, getting established, then become a vice chair and then a chair in the third year. And it's worked out pretty well. So if we can keep that going, that would be great. But we also may need to double check on that and see if there's any, if we need to be talking to Terry about getting green cards, for the committee. And there's Terry right there.
Right, so I recommend that you work with two town departments. One, the town clerk's office, and make sure that your dates and their dates agree. Maybe they have errors, I don't know, but make sure that you understand what they think the terms are. And then they can talk to Donna or you can, but the website should be updated to reflect the current terms. I also have a question. Jeff, is this your first term or your second term?
This was my first term. Well,
Okay.
last year, right, first term, but last year was my first year.
Okay, so that's great. So you, if you're interested, you can be reappointed for a second term, and you can move on and serve as chair as you planned. So it's important to straighten out all the dates with the town clerk's office, and then we'll see how many vacancies we have and get going looking for green cards, which we now call, by the way, volunteer cards.
I guess with the current border and immigration, the green cards probably.
Right.
So Rod, I'll double check with the town clerk's office.
No, I have a
about that,
copy
or-
of the letter that I was
Okay,
given,
that
so
you
I
were-
know.
So I've already changed yours on the website. So now I have you as 24.
Thank you.
But we can check, for Jeff's as well.
Okay.
How many years is the term? Is it 2 or 3?
3 years.
Three.
3 years.
And is this your first term?
No.
This is your second term?
Family. I'm sorry, Terry?
Oh, I was just asking, is this your first term or second term?
It's my first term, Terry, but I'm not able to re-up for a second term. I have
Okay,
family matters
okay.
that need my attention. Yeah. So that's one thing we want to sort out and make sure that we've got, I think you're 2025, I believe.
Yeah,
Right, and I think Priscilla, you're also 2020,
I think I'm 26.
26, my mistake.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Jerry's 25.
Yeah, I think you
We're
and Jerry,
both on our
yeah,
second term.
yeah, both on your second terms, yeah. So, so there is at least one request for next year, okay? And then I just want to remind everyone, my term ends at April, according to the town letter that I got 3 years ago. So that means that we ought to have a chair and a vice chair in place so that they can be voted in May, right? So I just want people to be thinking about that in terms of transitions. And that's why Jeff and Priscilla, if this is something which is attractive to you, I highly recommend it. It's actually been great fun, you know, participating in the committee and participating as chair. I would highly recommend it. And then we can move on with the transition and have a very smooth, you know, transition, which I think would be great. So those are the two things I just wanted to raise for the committee. And that concludes the chair comments. Are there any committee members' comments? Jeff?
Surprise, I have a comment. First of all, I just want to mention that in that analysis we were talking about, Aaron, Jerry, I don't know if you were here last month, but Jerry Susi had suggested he wanted to participate and do some analysis and was, I don't know exactly where that went, but I remember him mentioning that he was anxious to get into some of the data. So I just put that out there. The second thing on that topic is when we're doing that analysis, it seems to me like the rate of utilization has dramatically increased by at least 50% since 2018. We seem to be going through a lot more lots. So I want to make sure that's all included and projected out over the next, you know, over the next several decades, not just the current rate, but what the rate of projected increase in utilization will be, because our population is getting a lot older. And in less than 6 years, it went up by 50%, at least according to this. So we really need to be looking at that. So I just want to make those two comments on that piece. The other thing I wanted to bring up is, as we all know, it's real early yet, but the prison is closing and the prison has a graveyard. And I'm not sure who's going to take over responsibility for that cemetery. If we end up taking over that property, I just want to put on note that we should be aware if we're going to end up, I'm sure the town is aware whether or not they're going to be responsible for maintaining those, and whether or not we incorporate that into our responsibilities. It's right on the backside of the park, so I mean it's kind of right there. It hasn't been used for decades, but it is a pretty substantial little graveyard. So I want to make sure we're aware and planning for it, and interested in Aaron's thoughts or anybody else's thoughts on that.
Just, I do have a couple comments on that. So what is being proposed in the governor's proposed budget is that they are cutting the funding for that prison effective July 1st, and really that still has to go, I think, to the House and the Senate to get approved, and then that's approved. They're planning on closing that facility. What happens with that facility is not yet guaranteed. It's still not guaranteed that the town gets that facility as well. And it's the one parcel where the actual prison is located is what is going to be, done. Something that will happen with that. The other parcels that surround the prison property, so across Com Ave is a separate parcel that's owned by the Commonwealth. It includes there's a white structure that used to be a housing for workers at the cemetery at the prison, and then to the northwest of that is where the location of the of the prison cemetery, if you will. That's a separate parcel that was not included in what's been presented, at least to staff, as being part of what's gonna be kind of sold off. So I'm not sure if that parcel is considered or not considered, but it, from what the information that we've seen so far, the presentation that was given to us is that it's a separate facility, if you will. That prison, the lot that has the prison cemetery on it. Similar to, there's on the other side of Route 2, there's the Northeast Correctional Center. That's a completely separate facility as well. They'll continue to run. There's a few other small parcels that are owned by the state and DOC that are not included in that closure. So TBD on all that stuff. So
Great question, Jeff.
Yeah.
Great question. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for raising it. Okay, any other comments, topics, discussion from committee members? Okay, then we'll close with D5, public comments. Andrea? Terry, any comments?
Nope, thanks for all you do. Nice job with the master plan.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, thanks. If that's the case, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second? Who's?
I'll second.
Okay, then we'll take a quick roll call. Brian?
Aye.
Rod? Aye. Priscilla?
Aye.
And Jeff?
Aye.
Okay, once again, a unanimous meeting. Okay, thanks, everybody. We'll be meeting in early March.